Hi, I'm Ben Martin. Both of my parents were very supportive of my monster movie watching obsession, but unfortunately, Chiller Theater's first feature started at 11:30 p.m. every Saturday night, and the second feature around 1 a.m. And this certainly would deprive me of the sleep a growing 9-year-old needs, as well as making it darn near impossible for me to stay awake during the following morning's Sunday school class. The answer was then, my parents thought, if I really wanted to watch these old monster movies so much, then I would need to go upstairs to bed by 8:30 p.m. on my Saturday night, and be awakened by my father in time for the chosen feature. Well, that was tough. Tough to get to sleep and even tougher to wake up again. This particular Saturday, Dad and I scanned the TV guide to see what monster joy I could experience. And that's when Mom came in and said, "No late show tonight. Tomorrow you're performing in a Sunday school recital." "Oh no, Dad, what is on tonight? Whatever it is, I can't miss it." Is Frankenstein meeting the Wolfman? Or perhaps his new bride? Is there a monster challenging the world? Or perhaps a creature, a thing, or a beast emerging from the sea, an iceberg, or a lagoon? No, tonight is something called The Incredible Shrinking Man. "Oh, well," I said, "I guess if I have to miss something, this is probably it. Just a little guy who once was big. Sounds kind of silly." But my father, in his wisdom, said, "No, I think you ought to see this one." "Well, okay," Mom overheard and smiled and shrugged and said, "but you better be wide awake tomorrow for the recital." And so that night, my father and I beheld the tale before us. About an average guy named Scott Carey who suffers the double whammy of being exposed to a radioactive cloud after ingesting pesticide. Never a good combination. He finds his body getting too small for his clothes, his wedding ring, his cat, and everything else that encompasses his world. We were enthralled, both of us. Neither of us expected that it would have the impact it did. The adventures our hero endures as he continuously shrinks and gets trapped in a Grand Canyon-sized basement which contains, among other things, a terrifying house spider. That night, I rounded a cinematic corner, thanks to my father. This film bridged the gap between the fantastical monsters I'd come to love and the more adult-themed films I was soon to embrace. It had a hugely profound effect on me, the themes of what really makes up the character of a man, his identity, and also the power of the individual against things he can't control. Of course, I couldn't articulate all this back then, but these themes affected me then, and they do still. Scott Carey says at the end, as he dissolves into the infinitesimal, that he still exists, because to God, there is no zero. I can't state this as a positive fact, but that profoundly simple lesson probably did more for my spiritual growth than my Sunday school recital the next day, for which I did manage to stay awake, by the way. Shrinking Man may not be my all-time favorite movie, but that changes all the time. Seven Samurai or Seven Faces of Dr. Lowe. Kiss Me Deadly or Straw Dogs or The Gamma People or Intruder in the Dust or Once Upon a Time in the West. It changes. But Shrinking Man is way up there all the time. And so my father and I, we walked upstairs hand in hand at about 1 a.m. and I was talking, whispering really, not to wake anybody, wildly about what we had just seen. And my father nodded and smiled and quietly shared my enthusiasm. As I walked to my room and he to his, I turned and saw him, and saw the opposite of that shrinking man we just spent an hour and a half with. A man who, while only 5'9", stood incredibly tall, who nurtured in me my love of the movies and so much more. And today, he's grown even taller still, even long after his passing. And he and I still love The Incredible Shrinking Man. Here's to you, Dad, and thanks.